Hey guys, this is George with Firehouse Music, and today I wanted to talk to you about the five main areas of the guitar. Ultimately, the goal when we're trying to play is take any musical structure and be able to play it all over the fretboard. But that it's difficult on the guitar because we have, and I'm sure you found this out as you're trying to play, we have multiple instances of even the same note, like this E note on the first string. Forever. Okay, one more time. That E note on the first string, you can play it. You can find it in a number of different places. It's like here. You can have it on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. You can find it on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, on the 14th fret of the 4th string, on the 17th fret on the 5th string, or the 24th fret, which I don't have on this guitar, on the 6th string. So that's 6 different places for one note. So so there's a lot of overlap like that. So the task of learning the notes on the guitar can be overwhelming. And some students think like that's the way to go. Like you're trying to memorize all the notes all over the fretboard, and eventually everything will unlock. That's what I believed when I first started, and it's not true. You have to come up with some kind of system to make it work. And the so-called cage system, or the 5 main areas of the guitar, it's a pretty good one, because what you're doing is you're anchoring. Well, first of all, it's called the cage system because it's based on the 5 basic chords that you learn on your first day of guitar: C, A, G, E, and D, right? But what's important to understand is how it sort of pivots on the different roots for different chords on the guitar. So basically, you have 2 available shapes for the 5th string, 2 available shapes for the 6th string, and 1 shape for the 4th string. There are certain chord shapes that fall outside of this system. No system is perfect, but this is good enough. And it'll get you most of the way there. It'll definitely get you understanding how to move around the guitar, and more importantly, playing in every key, everywhere on the guitar, which is important. Some people call this position playing. I know Levitt does that, but it's the same thing. It's basically the caged system. His fingering system is a little bit different, but it's just a variation on the same thing. It's the same theme. So we have this C chord, which we can play as a bar or a closed chord up here on the 12th fret, right? And the way the major scale would sit in that position, if we play it here, that way you don't have to deal with open strings, and you can actually move this. Starting on fret 15, you're gonna get this. Right? And the chords, because the chords are an important component of this, the chords that are tied to this scale are not just the C chord here, which is the equivalent of the C chord that you learn in open position, which is this one, right? But you're also going to have your D minor chord, your E minor chord, and those are all available here too. If you wanted to do it on the 12th fret, you get D minor in the same position. You have E minor in this position. The only difference is that I'm adding a bar, right? But chords above the 12th fret are not that practical, so I'm going to go back to the open position. Just understand that we're doing the same thing. We're just adding a bar. So you have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B half diminished, and then back to C. And notice that they all fit the box of the scale. So all the chords are inside this little 4 fret world, right? Then if we take this same root note and we play the next shape up, which would be this one. So this one goes that way, the C shape. If we play this way, now we have the A shape. Same root, same note. Right? Now we have a different major scale, or the same major scale, different fingering for the major scale, which is this one. close that. Fingering type 1. In the cage system is the A shape, same thing. And just like before, we have all the chords available in this position. They don't get out of this little 4-fret box. We have our C chord. We have D minor 7. We could play D minor, but it's a tough chord. It's like this, and then you have to stretch up there. So generally, I prefer chords that I can just readily grab. So I prefer this D minor 7 instead of the traditional D minor. There are better voicings of D minor if you want to play a triad than this one. So we're gonna just do that one. D minor 7. E minor or E minor 7. So you have E minor 7 if you want that. F major 7 or F. G or G7. A minor 7. Same situation. We could play on A minor, but it requires a pretty big stretch, doing it like this. And if you're doing this, why not just play this, right? But that takes you out of position. So then just play A minor 7 in this position. And then B minor 7 flat 5 would be half diminished. And we're back to C. Then that's it, right? We covered our 2 positions, or our 2 scale positions for that C note. Then we have this root up here. So this C note is the same C note that I was playing down here. See, it's the same sound. Right? Same sound. Or close enough. I don't know how well intonated my guitar is. It's supposed to be the same note. So with this C note, we're going to play our G shape, right? Based on, essentially, if you take a G chord and you're like out of bar, you end up with this monstrosity. You don't usually play a chord like this, but it's a good idea. It's a good idea to be able to visualize it, at least, so you know kind of where does this scale come from, right? So starting from this position, our C scale looks like this. I think Levitt will call this fingering type 4, and the cage system is the G shape. It's just names, right? And once again, we have all the chords available to us. We have a C, a more practical version of this gigantic C is this C right here for the triad. And then you have D minor or D minor 7 if you want. You have the same shape for E minor 7 that we used before for D minor 7. Then you have F or F major 7, so F or F major 7. You have G or G7, so G7 or G. And then we have A minor, traditional bar chord, or A minor 7 if you want. B half diminished. And then we're back on C. So the shape goes that way for the scale. Right? All of my notes go below, in terms of frets, it goes below my root note. So that's a G shape. And then I can also take that same root note and play notes that are above it in terms of frets, like this. And I think that's fingering type 2 or type 3, I can't remember, in the Levitt system. But it's just the E shape in the cage system. There's no stretches on this one, so it's just like this. That's your major scale. And just like before, we have all the chords contained inside this 4-fret grid. So we have our C major, D minor 7, E minor or E minor 7, F or F major 7, G7 or G major if you want, A minor or A minor 7, B half diminished, and then we're back on C. And then finally we have our C right here. This is the octave from that C. So now we have only one shape in this root for the for the fourth string. That's the D shape in the cage system, and it's one of the type 4 fingerings in the Levitt system. And it looks like this. It's kind of weird because it starts in the middle and then you go up and you come back down and then come back to the root, right? And just like before, we have all of the chords that we need in the same position. They're all contained in the same box. So we have our C right here, or C major 7 if you want. You have D minor, or D minor 7. You have E minor 7, E, F. Then we have our F. We have G, or G7. We have our A minor 7. And then I borrowed this one for the B half diminished. And then we're back to C. Beyond that, we loop back to the first finger that we talked about, this one. So then from there, if you wanted to continue to go up, it just cycles back. So you have the C shape again, the A shape again, the G shape again, and then on my guitar, probably, because I don't have access to that 22nd fret, it's kind of a pain. I wouldn't really play the E shape here, but it's available there. Or if you have a nice guitar with 24 frets, you can go a little bit higher. But essentially, the system just loops back. So you learn the fingering of these 5 different major scales and the chords that go with them. And there's tons of exercises that you can come up with and patterns and things to make the memorization a little bit easier. And that's it. And then you have a clear understanding of the guitar in, well, at least in the key of C, right? And then if you want to play in a different key, all you have to do is choose a different root. And then everything applies again. So let's say we want to do it in D, right? Well, the same thing's going to apply. Now our note is D right here, right? So I can do the C shape, and I have all the same chords available again, right? Then I have the A shape for D, and same thing, all the chords are available here, all of that stuff. Then I have my my G shape, I have my E shape, my D shape, and then back to the C shape. So it works for all keys. I would recommend that you anchor on one key. You start with one key, memorize it all over the fretboard, get comfortable with the chord changes. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you got to practice in every key. Yeah, but you got to start with one thing. And that's going to make things a lot easier if you start with just one key, everything is consistent, and you sort of like memorize the relationship between the different positions. That's important. That's something I tell my students all the time, is don't get married to the frets. This guitar doesn't even have any dots in it. I don't want you to think frets. I want you to think about the relationship between each note, the relationship between each chord in any given structure that you learn. That way, transposition is not a big deal. Transposition is just a fancy word that means changing keys. You can change keys at will without having to do anything else. The guitar is the easiest instrument to transpose on. It's not like the piano where everything changes and you have to learn a whole new set of fingerings because the key is different. On the guitar, that's not the case at all. So the sooner you get on board with this, like, oh, everything is based on shapes and everything is about the intervallic relationship between different structures, harmonic or melodic structures, then your understanding of the guitar is going to come to you. Anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. It's a lot to unpack. Watch the video, repeat it. I'm sure I'm going to have some transcription on screen and stuff. I'll make Eva do some work on that while she's editing this. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Let me know. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this, or if you'd like to see something different. Just let me know. Put it down in the comments or send me an email. My email is always on the videos. You guys can reach out to me at any point. And that's it. Just keep checking us out and stay tuned for more videos.